Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Universe podcast. I'm your host, James, and this month we are looking back at what I have done, what you have done. We have a chat with Josh Hoyt, where we discuss Celebration and Andor Season 2. We celebrate the release of Star Wars Unlimited Jump to Lightspeed, and a whole host of other things. It's been a good month in Star Wars, with next month set to be even better. So join me on this journey as we go through the Star Wars universe. First off, I'd like to throw out a quick public service announcement. If you're enjoying listening to the show, please head over to your podcatcher of choice and hit subscribe, drop a comment, drop an interaction with any polls that are out there, and follow me on the socials. I'm on X at starwarsyoupod, and I'm on Instagram now at Star Wars Universe. Also head over to the YouTube channel as well. Hit subscribe. Even if you don't interact with the videos, even if you're not interested in Star Wars Unlimited, the podcast is uploaded there as well for your ease, and it would just really, really help me out. I'm really pushing for 100 subscribers at the moment, and it's just building and building and building ever so slowly. But any help you can give me is really, really appreciated. Now, let's jump over to my conversation with Josh Hoyt. And a huge welcome back to the universe to good friend Josh Hoyt. Hi Josh, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am here and kicking.
Yes.
I kind of briefly went into everything that's been going on. It's still going on, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Next couple of weeks I need to get through, and then I have a nice little break planned where hopefully in and around the time of Celebration, so I can actually follow some live streams and whatnot. But nicely segues into what we were just talking about before I hit the record button. we were running through the guests that were currently listed and who we think might be added to it. So current guests, we have the likes of Ahmed Best, Alan Tudyk, Anthony Daniels, Ashley Eckstein, Daniel Logan, Dave Filoni, Diego Luna, Hayden Christensen, which I'm really looking forward to seeing Hayden again. I love his appearances at Celebration. Favreau, obviously, Mads Mikkelsen, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, but you pointed out to me that next year it's 10 years since Rogue One, which makes me feel very old.
Yeah, we were reminiscing how old we feel, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Manny Jacinto, who I think I may be butchering that surname, so apologies if I am, who is Chimera in The Acolytes. For those who don't know, Oscar Isaac, my favoritist actor in the world, will be there. And we were actually just saying, weren't we, that it's 10 years since The Force Awakens, which is where we really started to feel old. Rosario Dawson, Sam Witwer, Tamora Morrison, and Vanessa Marshall are the big names that I can pick out of this. For those who aren't recognizing Vanessa Marshall, she voices Hera in Rebels. So yeah, let's get back to feeling old. 10 years since The Force Awakens, and we were actually just saying, weren't we, that it was 10 years between Revenge of the Sith and The Force Awakens, and hopefully the love for the prequels that built and grew from those of us who watched it when we were the appropriate age to first watch Star Wars and fall in love with it, and are now 10 years older and hopefully carrying that torch forward for the sequel trilogy. It's
my son's 15 and he asks me every day, have the Revenge of the Sith tickets gone on sale yet for the April release?
Good lad.
Every day he asks me, and so check every day. We're going to go to IMAX. And we both agreed. We said we might have to, it definitely going to have to see it twice, at least 2 times, we were saying, because that's his favorite movie. So yeah, it's that buzz is real right now for that movie. Like there's a lot of people, like my quote unquote local Star Wars friends that I have here, they are all buzzing for that. So that's going to be
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
I'm right there with you on the buzz and the hype. It's I've gone on record many times. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. It's the one I go to if I'm going to put a Star Wars movie on, and I can just watch it over and over. I don't know if you were ever exposed to the AI generated song from Revenge of the Sith recently, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the Battle of Mustafar without that playing in my head.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it.
Cool.
I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to that coming back to cinemas, and I'm going to make a promise now to every listener and every Star Wars fan out there. Unlike the Phantom Menace, I will not fall asleep in this one. So yeah, I should hopefully be well rested and over this busy period of my life and recovered from it as best I can. So yeah, in preparation for it. So I am very much looking forward to it, and I've actually got a notification set up to let me know when tickets go on sale at my local place.
Nice.
It won't be IMAX, I don't think, unless because I've got to travel quite a distance for that, but I might do it. I might go see it in IMAX and then go and see it in a regular theater afterwards as well. It's I might just go back to back IMAX and just stay in the theater.
Well, that's what we talked about too. I mean, because these re-releases are great just because of the sound. I mean, we went. I know it's not Star Wars related, but like we love the movie Interstellar too. We're huge Nolan fans, so we went to the re-release of the Interstellar. That sold out everywhere around me. We had to drive over an hour to an IMAX theater away. Because I have IMAX theaters that are within 15-20 minutes. I have 3 of them that are within 15-20 minutes of me. They were all sold out for like days. So we got tickets to go up an hour, and that thing was sold out. And man, seeing that in IMAX was one of the best theatrical experiences I've ever been to, which is the sound design. So that's why we're, even though I've seen Revenge of the Sith, I think 3 times in the theaters. They were great back then, but now it's a different level of sound and picture right now that you can see, which is so cool.
Absolutely. I don't know if they're going to remaster it slightly to really take advantage of the quality of the sound system in new theaters. I really hope they do. It's hopefully just a little bit of effort, which they will more than make their money back on, I think, with Star Wars coming back to the theaters. I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see it on the big screen again. I think I saw it 8 times in the cinema in 2004. I couldn't stop. There was I'd not long got my first job, so I actually had kind of a bit of money, and I seem to recall one day I didn't have anything else to do. It was a Saturday or a Sunday. I had nothing else to do. There were 3 showings, and I just went up to the desk and went, "Can I have one for Revenge of the Sith at this time?" And they were like, "Okay, you have to leave the theater in between showings." I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll need the toilet and I'll need more snacks. And I literally spent my entire day in a dark room watching Star Wars.
Awesome.
It was one of the best days I've ever had on my own. But yeah, it's just a fantastic film, and I really can't wait to see it again in theaters. But yeah, it's obviously that's on the horizon. That's actually a little tick off the talking points I had on my list here. We've talked about Celebration a little bit, and I know we've kind of talked about this off air slightly as well. Where do you think we're gonna go in terms of what we're shown coming out the other side of it? And do you think they're going to show anything just at Celebration where they cut the feeds and give people a sneak peek and whatnot?
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, I think for sure there's going to be more Mando and Grogu footage that only people are going to see there, and then I will be scavenging Twitter like a mad person until it gets taken down, or X,
Shaky
whatever.
cams and everything.
I still call it Twitter. I'll always call it Twitter, but
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be surprised me if there was an Ahsoka season 2, some sort of teaser or perhaps like concept art. I don't know how much they've been doing on the back end there. I would also think Visions too, just because it's in Japan. I think you're going to see some things with regards to there. I do think though, I wouldn't be surprised they if they also, at least for the people there, if they don't do a Revenge of the Sith showing for people who attend there. But usually they tend to do that on anniversaries, like they'll show a full movie for people. So
Yeah, it might be sort of a little tag on at the end of the day. I'm just looking at
yep.
the schedule, and the day finishes around about 5 p.m. Japan time. So, and there's nothing in there at the moment that says they're going to be doing anything, but there's a lot of time after 5 p.m. where they can just stick a movie on for people.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're trying to keep them there, but I'm sure people will voluntarily stay if they're going to show Revenge of the Sith or any of the films really. To see it in that sort of setting with all the lightsabers and just everyone there who is so in love with this fandom.
Yeah, I mean they do. They have a lot of potential of what that they could really show. And people, in my opinion, with it being in Japan, with people going there, they're going to have definitely, I think, some things for people that are just there, like that are, they always do, but I think more this year with just a lot of things coming down the pike, they're going to have a lot of treats for those people. So
yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't surprise me if they showed the first couple of episodes of Visions season 3.
Yeah.
I don't know huge amounts about Visions season 3. I haven't kept up with the news on it recently, so I don't know if they're kind of reverting back to season 1 and going full anime, or if they're keeping it as like a mixture of animation studios.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to look to see here. Yeah, and I do think they're going to do things with Andor as well, because Andor would have released 2 weeks. Andor will be close because they're doing the three episode drops, so that will be really close to when that concludes. But I would imagine they're going to do some things with Andor.
It'll be, so it's the 18th, so it's right before release actually.
Yeah.
So they may show the first 3 episodes if they're dropping them all on one day.
Oh, that's right. No, Andor releases April 22nd.
Yes, and Celebration is
April 4th. Yeah, so I think they'll probably show the first 3 episodes of Andor. If I had the first, I would imagine that first arc they'll probably show.
Yeah, and they're doing that thing again, which really confuses me. They're releasing it on the 22nd, but they're releasing it at like 9 p.m. your time. So it's actually Wednesday for me, the 23rd. So I'm like, I get it a day later than everyone else. But
yeah, they drop a lot of the things here. Like a lot of the things previously they used to say, dropping on a Wednesday, but that meant it was dropping Wednesday, like at 12 a.m.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see it, so then I had to like completely avoid things because people on the West Coast, they were getting it at 9 o'clock. I was obviously in bed by then. I mean, there's a couple things that I stayed up and watched, like finales of, so I wouldn't get spoiled, but usually the intro ones I'll avoid social media and then watch it, when I get home from work the next day.
Yeah, it used to work brilliantly for me because 12 a.m. East Coast is 8 a.m. here.
Yeah.
So I think I've said this story many times on the podcast before, but Mando season 2 finale, I hurried my wife and kids out of the house and at like 5 to 8 in the morning, settled down with a coffee and just sat there and watched and experienced this on my own in absolute peace and quiet, 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 8:45 in the morning I'm sat there in absolute tears.
That's so funny because it's the same thing. Like for me, I got home from work, I remember exactly where I was sitting. I knew nothing about what was going to happen, but I couldn't wait for it. I put it on at 4 o'clock, and then like 4:45 my wife walked in with my kids, and I am sitting there like bawling, like tears rolling, and my wife's like, "Oh my God, what happened? Like, it did something with my parents? Is that?" I'm like, it's Luke Skywalker. And she just went, oh my God, you have got to be kidding me. She's like,
Absolutely. I remember.
it's great.
I remember that day for me so clearly because
Yep.
I start work at 9 and
Yep.
I'm working from home as well, and because of the time it was as well, it was weird time, and I am sat there crying my eyes out at quarter
Yep.
to 9, get up, dust myself off,
Yep.
couple of big breaths, splash of water on the face, and I'm on a Teams call in at like 9:15.
Oh, that's hysterical. Because I rewatched it probably like I rewatched it again. I watched it again, and then I watched it right fast forward to where he comes, and then I spent like the next 48 hours watching reaction videos on
Yeah,
people recrying again all over.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It
it
was.
was a time to be alive, I'll tell you. So.
Oh, it really was. It really was. I don't know how they kept it a secret.
No,
Genuinely don't know how they kept it a secret, because even I'd heard nothing,
yeah,
not even the sort of setup that they had in place in case something leaked, where everyone on set except for those in the know thought it was going to be Plo Koon, and
yeah,
it's like that didn't even get out. Everyone was going, it's going to be
yeah,
Ezra, it's going to be this person, it's going to be Cal. And everyone was like, what about Luke? Nah, it's not going to be Luke. They're not going to do Luke. Nah, don't be silly. And then it's like you see the X-Wing come in. It's just,
you knew right away. I mean, most people, I knew right. You just knew right away,
yeah,
and then you're just sitting there like it's almost like you were in a trance, and you're like, is this really happening? And it was bonkers.
yeah. I remember sitting there, arms went straight up, like
Yeah,
it's red 5, and then I was
yeah,
like, or is it? And like you immediately start questioning yourself, and like then you see him come through, and he's in the dark cloak, and you're like, it's Luke. And then you see the cloak, the gloved
yeah,
hand, and you're like, it's definitely Luke. And then you see the
yeah.
lightsaber, it's Luke.
And the music like just kept extending. Oh, so good.
And
It
then
was so good.
seeing him take out the dark troopers
Yep.
and whatnot, it's the fear on Moff Gideon's face as well.
Hmm.
Really, really sold the legend of Luke Skywalker in that moment. But we have gone
That's
off.
why I still couldn't believe they like because I kept saying there's no way they're going to do a season 3. Like, how do you can't top that. Like you can't like you and that's I think was so hard for them in season 3 is how do you top that?
You look at season 2 as a whole, and you have obviously the extension of the Mando story, the exploration of Grogu, the whole situation on the Seeing Stone, and all the rest of it, and you also have the introduction into live action of Ahsoka. You
Yep.
have the name drop of Thrawn. You have
You have
Luke.
introduction to Boba Fett in
You have
that
the
season.
introduction of Boba Fett, and Fennec Shand is
Yep.
just an awesome character as well.
You have Bo-Katan. I mean, that season, the amount of the things that even like you didn't even hear about, like Boba Fett, you heard some rumblings about, right? But especially at the end of season 1, that's what a lot of people thought. But the stuff that they put in there, I mean, the Ahsoka episode too was like, I was like, is this reality right now? It was bonkers. Like,
yeah, and seeing
great.
Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka was just everything I wanted it to
Yep.
be. That I rewatched that episode not that long ago, and I just even now I just sit there with my mouth open, just like, this is incredible.
The opening scene's amazing. Like it's cinematic, the sound design and just the suspense was great. And then the name drop of Thrawn at the end, you're just like, okay, where we go? Like this is bonkers. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And then we get season 3, which is good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it was never going to be as good as season 2, because I think they did so much fan service in season 2, in terms of, as I say, live action recreations of characters, like the name drops, everything.
Yeah.
It was the perfect season of TV. I think you have to have season 1 and the way that's all set up as well. So season 1 and 2, absolutely perfect. And it's that picture of the horse, isn't it? The meme of the horse.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's quite the stick figure of a horse of season 3. It's just a slightly not as clear picture, and it's still absolutely fantastic. And
It
you
was
get
good. It's just not memorable. Like I remember season two. Like I can even part of season one I can remember. Like the beginning of season one I can remember.
yeah.
But season two, like I can picture in my head almost every single episode. Whereas
Mm.
season three, like I remember the story and this, that, and but it's
I think the really memorable moments of season 3 are kind of the bad bits. So the Lizzo and Jack Black cameo,
mhm.
it doesn't matter what character they're playing, it's Lizzo and Jack Black. You can never not see Lizzo and Jack
Yep.
Black. And the end of that episode actually has something really crucial that happens with Bo-Katan taking back the throne of Mandalore,
Mhm.
and no one remembers it. No one remembers Christopher Lloyd is in that episode as an old school separatist. So there's so much in that episode which is good, but people only remember that those
Yeah.
two characters, or they're not even characters, are they? Those two actors in that moment. I really like the ending of season 3. I really like the whole exploration of Mandalore. I love
Yeah.
the can't remember the name of the animal.
Oh, the
Mythosaur.
yes, the mythosaur. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because they have to finish that. You know,
Yeah,
they tease that they have to finish that 100%.
yeah, and
And I love the bringing in the um, you know, it tied in some things to the sequel trilogy within there, which I thought was, you know, setting the seeds for some of those things. Like with Praetorian Guards, I thought was really cool. Like that was a neat thing.
and it showcased them as someone terrifying.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got them up against Rey and Kylo, you know neither of them are going to die, and
Yeah.
you know it's going to be a pretty cool fight scene, but they're going to handle them because they have the plot armor, and
Yep.
I'm not going to go as far as calling anyone a Mary Sue or anything like that, because I just don't believe that theory. But they are the good guys, and the good guy and the bad guy working together against a greater enemy, and in that moment. And yeah, you can see that they're skilled, but they're not as skilled as a Jedi in training and a self-proclaimed Sith. But yeah, when they're fighting and they go up against Paz Vizsla and take him out, and then you've got the whole Moff Gideon stuff around that as well, which I'm still certain that was a clone.
Yeah.
They have to finish it off. I think. Yeah, I think we've got, what have we got realistically before? I'm going to call it the Heirs to the Empire movie because that's what I've been calling it, the Filoni movie. We've got Mando and Grogu, which is
Mhm.
essentially season 4, and we've got Ahsoka season 2. I don't think we've got anything else on the slate at the moment, have we, for
No.
the Filoni movie? So we've got a lot to set up, and obviously we need to get Ahsoka and co back from Peridia, which will probably be done in the first episode if we're realistic about it.
Yeah.
We need to set Thrawn up on Dathomir. We need to get him a fleet of some description. We need to figure out what's happening with Moff Gideon. There's a lot to do in 2
Yeah,
seasons.
there's a lot of on it. I mean, there's a lot. I mean,
Well,
there's
a movie in a season.
yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like Ahsoka season 2 might be adding some new plot points as well over there. So yeah, interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So before we go into our thoughts on Andor season 2, as we've skirted around it a little bit so far, expertly, completely by plan. Have you seen? I know you're a fan of the Black Series figures.
Yes.
Have you seen the Celebration exclusive Black Series figures?
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, I have some pre-order ones that are coming to the Shock T I have coming as a pre-order. Um, and then there's a new Anakin that's coming out from the Clone Wars. That one I have pre-ordered. I have the Clone War Kenobi coming, and I can't remember. There was one other one, but yeah, they're.
Is it the triple pack of Qui-Gon, Maul, and
I did get
Obi-Wan?
the Phantom Menace one. Yep,
Yeah.
that one I got. Yeah, and then that one did arrive, and then the other one that I got was the Yoda with Commander Gree. So
Yes. Yeah. I'm just
yep,
scrolling back through our chat to see what
yep, yep,
you've been
yep,
updating me with.
yep, yep.
But yes, it's I might need to pick up that Yoda one. It's
It's great.
yeah.
It's
I
the
haven't
throne
opened
seat is great. Yeah.
I haven't opened my original Yoda one yet. It's still in its
Yep.
box. I'm waiting for the necessity to do a video, and I'll open it up and get it out. Are you interested in hearing what the
Sure. Go ahead.
celebration
Yeah.
exclusive is? It is Ronin and his droid
Oh.
in black and white as well.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
So it looks beautiful.
Oh. Wow. Yeah.
R5
Huh.
D56.
Yep.
Is that a 5 or an S?
Yeah.
I think it's a
It's
5.
an S. I think it's an
D
S
DS6.
or
Wonder what that means.
RS. Or no. Yeah. I think it's RSD56.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
but yeah, it's the black and white with the only red on it is his lightsaber, which is just cool.
That gives it a good touch.
I love the hat on the droid. I love it.
Yeah. Great.
I hope they bring him back, Ronin. I know it's kind of canon adjacent, but it's I do love the stories. I need to listen to the book. The book is one on my list of things to listen to at the moment.
Oh, nice. What did you
Well,
think of? We never got a chance to talk about it. What did you think of Skeleton Crew?
we didn't talk about Skeleton Crew, did we? I loved it.
Yeah, I did too.
It kept surprising me how much I cared.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into it and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me.
I was too. I won't lie. I went into. They got my money. I'm gonna watch it, but you know what? I'm going. I'm gonna do my best to try and enjoy this. And I enjoyed it right away.
Yeah.
They had me at the scene where the kids were having a lightsaber battle. Like I'm like, man, that was me when I was 6 years old, when I was 15 years old, when I was 40 years old.
Absolutely. There were little moments throughout that first episode that I was just like, oh yeah,
Yep.
that's bringing back some memories. And then there were other moments where I was just like, yeah, I still don't think this is going to be for me. And then they leave at Atin and meet Smee, and
SM-33 is an all-time favorite droid for me. All-timer.
Yep. Loved him. He was absolutely fantastic. I thought Jude Law was absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really, really good series. It pitched and dropped in all of the right moments, doing all of the right things. It even on like the filler episodes, on like when they were in getting off the rubbish planet with the mechanical spiders and whatever, it felt like it still had stakes and it still brought something to the table, where it obviously stripped off the outer hull at the end.
Yep.
And it's like there were moments where I was like, okay, what was the what everyone dubbed Min Rebo instead of Max Rebo? Him. Neil.
Yes.
I found him really annoying throughout, but I think as a parent, you fully appreciate kids at that age are really annoying in a lot of ways. Like they're fantastic and they're so much fun and they're just so curious and everything else. But as an adult that has adult stresses and adult worries, you are just like, I just need you to sit down.
Yeah.
I just need you to sit down.
He was a fan favorite for a lot of people because he just cared so much, wanted to see the good in him. But I love the character, like that trash planet when you mentioned, where they separated the groups of two and just had great story arcs in there, and
and great
KB
conversations.
And her ability, like her KB and not not being able to relay that she's not going to be able to figure everything out all the way, but he had to basically help rebuild her wire out of the the burning the metal there. It was really good. Like I enjoyed it. And the episode with SM-33, when they go back and it's an adult resort, I legit had to pause it. I was laughing out loud so hard.
Yep.
It was so great because like as an adult, you get it. You're like, oh, that's brilliant, you know.
Yep.
And then when he had the bolt restraining bolt and would get mad every time, oh, it was so good. Like he's describing like pits of acid, and they're like these beautiful mud baths, you know. Oh, it was great. Like kids wouldn't pick up on that humor, but the adult humor that was laid in there was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It was a level of story writing that I think is only really as well done as something like The Simpsons, where
Yeah,
we say family friendly entertainment. Most of the time, we're talking about a kid's show that, as an adult, you enjoy it, it's fine, but you know, kids love it. But this, it had both layers to it, and it's little things like in the mud baths. There's just two muns just chilling out.
yep,
There's a hut in there
yep.
just chilling out, and you're just like, this is the weirdest part of Star Wars that I think I've ever encountered, and I'm completely here for it. What did you think of Kim, the owl?
Oh yeah. That I found that to be I got I thought it was actually going to go in another direction. This is where I thought it was going to be like Carson Teva, and I thought it was going to be them coming in with a. But I thought that that's where like from that episode was where I was like, all right, well, he's definitely not who he says he is now, and now like who is he really, and what is he really like um, from there. But then I like how she kind of got brought in back to the end to help rescue the kid, so it brought that full circle. But I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think for me I'm pretty relaxed about visual effects because I'm entertained. I don't
Yeah,
need it to be perfect. I do struggle with like older films that just look and feel old
mhm.
at this point in time. But there was one moment, and that was when he gets into the mint and he like taps one and they all start cascading down. I just looked at it and went, oh, that's bad CGI. But that was the only moment in the entire show. I think they did an awful lot practically,
Yeah,
which was fantastic. But they also did obviously layer in a lot of CGI and stuff. I liked the fact that he was proficient with a lightsaber, and there's
yeah,
clearly something. Well, we kind of know, but there's a lot more of that story to be told, which I think they could expand upon either in comic or book form, rather than like tell us, don't show us
right.
sort of thing. I think that would be probably better, so we don't waste time in whether we get a season 2 or we get a continuation in Mando and Grogu or Ahsoka or Heir to the Empire, because I think it's all they're gonna get
Tying
involved.
together. Yeah.
They're gonna get involved somehow. But obviously the New Republic coming in at the end. New Republic's now got some money.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I found that to be very not so much in a good way. You know,
Mm.
that maybe that's where, you know, the New Republic where you started to see some of that divide in the um, you know, in some of the other shows where that there was they felt that they were too powerful and too overreaching. So yeah,
And
I thought that they
too
eased that in a good
bureaucratic.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and too bureaucratic as well.
Yeah.
You could see, must have been in Ahsoka, wasn't it, where they're sort of wandering around Coruscant, and is it Coruscant? No, it's Halcyon Prime, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But they're wandering around like their Coruscant, the center of the
Right.
galaxy politically, and you can see just how much bureaucracy there is already. And
Yep.
this is obviously 10 years post Return of the Jedi, and we're starting to see bits and pieces here and there in comic and book form about what happened in certainly the immediately sort of following years. But yeah, it's just interesting of like, at what point do they really go, right, we have enough money. I think this is a trigger point for this. We have enough money. We think the Empire is gone. Let's demilitarize.
Yeah.
Which obviously ends up being a big mistake because the First Order rises in wild space or the Outer Rim or wherever they congregate for a shindig. But yeah, I think it's an interesting take on it because there's a lot of the time. One of the conversations I had recently was I really struggle with the grey that is being introduced into Star Wars. If I want grey, I'll turn on the news. The world is full of it at the moment. There's people on both sides going, this person is right, this person is wrong, and there's the rest of us are largely in the middle going, I kind of see both sides of this. Star Wars for me is my escape, and it's just turn my brain off, enter into a galaxy far, far away, and have some fun. And you have good guys and you have bad guys. And in the olden days, sound really old now. In the olden days, the good guys had blue and green swords, and the bad guys had red swords.
Yeah.
And that was kind of as easy as it was. And now we've got an actual peek behind the curtain of the organizations. And yeah, the Empire is full of bullies and narcissists and people who are just out for themselves. Kind of so's the rebellion.
That's what I think you're going to see in Andor season 2.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change people's opinions a lot of the rebellion per se, the rebels. But yeah,
and it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's blurring those lines that I struggle with in those regards. I think we are going to see a lot more of those blurrings in Andor season 2, and I think that we are going to be in for a ride with Andor season 2. The trailers look very, very interesting. What are your thoughts? Are you hyped up for it, or are you?
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I loved Andor. I know Andor was polarizing for people, but Andor, I really, really enjoyed it. And what I'm excited for is that they're doing my one nitpick was that I wish they would have done the episode release like for season 1, like they're doing for season 2, because every 3 episodes kind of was its own arc.
Yeah.
And I think if they would have done that, it would have had a lot more traction than it did. But to me, Andor was one of those stories that Andor and Mando season 1, in my opinion, were 2 stories that you didn't need to know anything about Star Wars to enjoy a product. And I thought that, that's what I tried to explain to my dad at the time. Like, just watch The Mandalorian season 1. You loved Westerns. Like, you love, it is a great, that's what it is. And I said, and with Andor was just a great spy thriller, and was suspense. And, for us who are Star Wars fans, we loved oh my God, they're building the Death Star, like that. But for other people, it was just, these people being put into a prison almost as hostages per se to build something. I thought it was great, and I had been counting down being able to see this because I love Rogue One too. Rogue One is a fan favorite movie of mine. So to see what that leads up to, and how Cassian meets K2SO, and how Andor goes from where he was at in season 1 to being like this leader in the rebellion. I'm looking forward to that. But I mean, it was a really, really fun, suspenseful story. The breakout, scene, the prison breakout was I've watched that episode. I can't tell you how many times I've watched it. Yeah, it's great.
Andy Serkis is very good in that, and he is all of the emotion in that entire episode, and it even more so when he gets to the edge.
Yeah,
I can't swim.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
It's
heartbreaking. Yeah,
and I can't say about anyone else really. I wanted Cassian to be like, I'll get you there.
Yeah, and I think he was planning on doing that, but he got bumped.
Yeah. And it's that thing of, again, it's the grey. It doesn't always work out how you want
Yeah.
it to, which is life, and they are lessons that a lot of people need to hear and learn along the way. But sometimes I just want the good guys to win and be good guys, and
Yeah.
the honor and virtue and all the other bits and pieces that go along with that, where they don't stoop to the other side's level and they take the moral high ground and they win anyway because they haven't taken the easy route and all of that sort of stuff. I think those are also important lessons to learn, and I do feel that a lot of the time those stories are kind of missing now, even on the other side of the fandom, in terms of sort of flipping over to Marvel and other things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's why I can't wait for Superman. I think Superman is going to be like that truly like good guy
Yeah,
hope movie.
I am quietly optimistic. I have obviously made it very known on the podcast. Cassian Andor is not my favorite character. For me, he was one of the worst points of Rogue One, again because of that grayness to it, and I just didn't want the person I perceived to be a bad guy in the rebellion, because the rebellion is meant to be good,
Right.
in my view, and so it kind of tainted it a little bit. I love K2SO. I love Luthen Rail. I think he's a really fascinating character, Luthen Rail. I am very much looking forward to seeing more Mon Mothma, and I will be very interested to see if we get any other cameos, maybe a Leia cameo somewhere. But I'm interested to see how it ends. Obviously, we know how it ends with Rogue One, but it'd be interesting to see how we get there. And I wonder if they're gonna actually intersect at any point and actually maybe show the alleyway scene as like the finale of him, and it's like you can now, like, they seamlessly stitched Rogue One into A New Hope. I wonder if they're going to do that, an element of that with Andor. And yeah, it's fascinating how they're going to tie it all together, because we have the circular notion of Cassian ended up inadvertently helping to build the Death Star, which he then steals the plans from Scarif and helps destroy. So it's very, very circular in that regard, and I really like that element. I have often said I don't like Andor, but I'm actually speaking about Cassian. I love everything else around it. I love the inner workings of the Empire.
I was wondering if we're going to get more on Scarif in the season 2. Like if you see,
we get Krennic.
Yep.
We've got Krennic in the trailer, so I wonder if we'll. I don't know if we'll get any Vader. We might get some Tarkin.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind a bit of Tarkin. Maybe. Well, there's no reason for them.
I think you might get Yularen too, within there, but we'll see.
I wouldn't say no. I do quite like Yularen. I think I was just trying to think if we'd possibly get anything more on Jeddah, but I don't think there's any reason. They went there looking for Saw, didn't they? But although we get Saw, so we might get some Jeddah, or we get him leaving to go to Jeddah. So we'll see. But I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very excited about this season.
The other thing too is, you could, in theory, where this is in the timeline, potentially see Thrawn as well, or at least speak of him, because Rebels was occurring right before the rebellion. It was close to this time period. I was trying to figure out like when does he disappear with Ezra, but it's occurring close around to this timeline. So he could very well be spoken of, but not necessarily shown.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they're doing some time jumps with each arc, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's they could definitely either mention him or have an actual hologram cameo.
That's
maybe.
the thing, like when they did that council meeting in Mandalorian, you could have a council meeting like that, very similar, where you could have Euler, you could have Tarkin, and you could have Thrawn speaking with, just having an update on, because they're all, if they're all in special projects or things like that. I don't know, but it'd just be interesting to see. There's so many potential what ifs that you don't know. Like
you could even throw Pelion in there.
Yeah, 100%.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yep.
There was someone else I just thought of as well. Hux's dad.
Yeah.
You could possibly have Gideon. You could possibly have Gideon in there as well, who's working. And
there's so much potential for like other seeds that are really planted in there. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, but no, that's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to call it there. So, Josh, let us know where we can find you.
Well, I am more of a follower than I am a content producer. So my handle on Twitter is Darth Ridiculous, but I just repost other people's things. I'm happy to talk anything Star Wars. I talk a lot with the Saga Continues guys, with Tim over there. We chat every now and then behind the scenes on all things Star Wars or Marvel related. So
yeah, they're a good bunch of guys over the Saga Continues as well. So yeah, go give them a listen. They do very, very in-depth breakdowns of pretty much everything that comes out. So yeah, really, really good bunch of guys over there as well. But Josh, thank you as always for joining me and just chatting Star Wars. And
thank you for having me and listening to me ramble about things that I love. So I enjoy that as well. It was good to see you. So
fantastic. And I'm going to hand back to future James now.
All right, take care.
Thank you, Josh. Always a pleasure to chat to you about Star Wars. And turning our attention to what I've been up to in the last month in Star Wars, I didn't feel like huge amounts, but I think actually I've done all right. It's been, as I said, and in the conversation with Josh, there's been a lot of hype building towards April as a month, and early May as a month for Star Wars. And I think it's going to be one to remember, with Celebration in Japan, which we discussed obviously in our chat, and Andor releasing Season 2, which I am on board for. I am always on board for more Star Wars, and I will reserve my right to cast my own judgment once I have consumed the media. I'm not going to leap to assumptions about something beforehand. But in the month of March, I have been quite busy. I've been mainly busy with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes and Star Wars Unlimited. But we'll start with Galaxy of Heroes. I'm still working towards Galactic Legend Ahsoka, and I've ticked off more requirements. I think I'm at like 14 out of 17 at this point in time, which is really, really good. I'm really pleased with my progress this month. But in that time, I have got General Hera Syndulla up to Relic 5, tick. Enoch and Peridia Death Trooper up to Relic 7, tick, tick. Good. Sabine and Huyang are nearly at 7 stars. I think I'm in the 90s out of 100 for Sabine, and I think Huyang is about 70 out of 100. So they will definitely be 7 stars, unless the drop rates really fall off for me, by the next episode. And I will hopefully have them both deep into relics by that point in time as well. I have Snips Ahsoka, Padawan Ahsoka, is now Relic 9. Another tick. And I have Ahsoka Fulcrum from Rebels, currently at Relic 7. And she needs to go to Relic 9. So there is quite a lot of signal data that I need to farm for that. I have also had a play around and a think about what my next moves are going to be after I obtain Galactic Legend Ahsoka. And I've leveled her up and I've reliced her up and I've got everything I need to do for her to get her going in the game. And so I've already favorited the requirements for Bo-Katan Kryze, which is a very, very good character in the game. And there's only 4 of them, but I need to take them all up to Relic 7. And outside of Besco, Beskar Armor Mando. They all need stars. So we have IG 11 with the from Mando season 3 with Grogu controlling him, the yes/no. We have Kelleran Beck, who is currently 6 stars as well. So IG 11 with Grogu is currently 5 stars. Kelleran Beck is 6 stars, and Paz Vizsla is currently 6 stars as well. So I'm farming those daily, so I will definitely have those at 7 stars. I don't know how far into relics I'll get with them because I'm focusing on my Ahsoka grind at the moment. But also at the same time, I am also favoriting the Jabba the Hutt requirements, who is another galactic legend. So I have a lot to do on that one. So that's just a slow grind, get them all up to gear 13 before I start any relics, because I have other relics to focus on at this point in time. I'm really pleased with my progress. I'm really, really enjoying the game again, and it's really got me back into it after having a little break away and just settling down on my gameplay previously. And so I'm really pleased to be back active in the guild, pushing hard and seeing the rewards of that as well. It's really, really good. Looking at Star Wars Unlimited, it's been a big month for Star Wars Unlimited. Set 4, Jump to Lightspeed, has come out. It was a slight change in how they release the sets. Previously, you had a 2-player starter set, which had 2 pre-built decks in, and everything you needed to actually start playing the game. And I loved those, because you got all of the special cards, which only come in the decks, in the special decks, or the starter decks. So this new set is slightly different. They've changed it to what's called Spotlight decks, and they released 2 separate Spotlight decks, but you do get a booster pack in each one. So a little trade-off. It does cost a little bit more money, but you know what? They're pretty cool decks. So, and they have exclusive cards in each, so obviously, naturally, I had to get one of each for my binder. I also went to the Jump to Lightspeed pre-release, which was the one I attended was at Ashdown Gaming in Crowborough in East Sussex, and it was a really, really good night. And actually, it's made me want to play the game even more. I'm not a huge ship person in Star Wars, but I also said that I'm not really that big a droid person in Star Wars, and I've learned to love loads and loads of different droids in literally the last couple of years. It's really weird how my love for droids has grown so quickly, and BT1, R2D2, still don't particularly like 3PO, BT1 and 000, firm favourites. HK47, love that droid. There's just a lot of droids to love out there, really. But yeah, anyway, getting back to Star Wars Unlimited. This one is heavily focused on ships, and at the pre-release event, you obviously buy your ticket and you get your pre-release box, which comes with 6 packs and the pre-release rules. So you have to build a deck of 30 cards out of what you pull out of those 6 packs. So it's a pretty level playing field. It's a good entry point for anyone looking to get into the game as a pre-release event. And I went with I can't even remember now, Vader Blue, maybe? So you have different colour aspects. I won't go into the fine details of the game. You have 4 main colour aspects of the game: blue, red, green, and yellow. And your leader will dictate what your main colour of your deck is. So Vader is a green card. And I went for a blue base, which allows me to also play blue cards. And if you want to play anything else that's not blue or green, then you have to pay a penalty. So it's a really, really good game, but it just gives you a completely level playing field because no one's played with these cards yet. No one's figured out what is meta and what isn't, and what's great and what isn't. And it was just a really, really good evening. And I played 6 games, and I didn't do very well, But then again, I'm not a big player. So game 1, very, very tight. I lost it by 1 point. So the aim of the game is to defeat your opponent's base. Your opponent's base has 30 HP. And I lost that by conceding 30 points, but I had 29 points on my opposition. And I made a mistake. I could have won that one. Game 2 I lost. I only got 11 points on the opposition base and they got 30 on mine. Game 3 I actually won. I only had 16 damage on my base and got 30 on theirs. Game 4 I lost 30 to 23. Game 5 I was actually given a bye because the way the draft works, I couldn't play the same player again twice, and we were both at the bottom of the rankings. So it actually counts both of those a win for both players on a bye, but we played a casual game and I lost that. I didn't note down what the score was on that one, unfortunately. And game 6 I did lose again, 30 to 19. So I walked out of there with a final score of 2 wins, 4 losses, which is better than my set 3 ratio, but still not great. As I say, I'm not great at the game. It is so much fun to play, though. Really, really good game to play. But on that night, I also picked up an additional 2 pre-release boxes, so a total of 3. 2 booster boxes of 24 packs each, and 4 packs of the new special edition Carbonite packs, which are higher rarities, higher chances of legendaries, and a new tiered version of a card called Prestige. So you have tier 1, which is just a basic card. It's like a showcase for ships. So tier 1 is just a base card, full art, very nice art. Tier 2 is a foiled version, and then tier 3 is a serialized. So they only produce 250 of each ship, total of 9,000 cards, I think, from memory, but it's hugely sought after and is really the chase of the set now. So from a collector's perspective, if you are just a player, these are not the packs for you. They are incredibly expensive compared to the other packs, and you're better off just buying the cards you need, if I'm perfectly honest. But I bought 4 of those, and I picked up another 2 later on from my local card shop, because I do like to try and support them as much as I can. I only pulled a few tier 2s, so the hollow foils, but nothing of any sort of great value. But you can check those out on the upcoming shorts on my YouTube channel, Star Wars Universe. If you head over there, while you're there, just hit subscribe. That's all you need to do. And yeah, it's one of my favourite things to do in terms of trading cards is ripping packs. And so I can't do the super quick maths, really. It's 48 across the 2 booster packs, plus another 18 from the pre-release boxes, plus the 2 from the Spotlight decks, plus 6 Carbonite packs, whatever that totals. I opened that many packs. I had such a good time, and I then had the best time organising and sorting. I've done a couple of deals to try and pad out my binder even more, and the upshot of it is I have 18 cards left in the set to collect. They're all rares and legendaries. Commons and uncommons are all done. And I did also pull a showcase as well. Rio Durant, who is one of the little guys, one of the little critters from Mando Season 3. One of the droid fixers. I can't remember the really famous one from Rise of Skywalker. Babu Freak. Babu Frick. Not Babu Freak. Babu Freaks is a podcast. If you want to go check them out, Brian V. Klein is a part of the Babu Freaks. So it's a decent podcast. Good fun. But that's about it, really, on the Star Wars Unlimited. But it's another new set. It's another set to collect, and I'm just having a great time with it. It's really, really good fun. But I made you a promise last month, didn't I? That I would catch up on some comics. And I have done. I am up to date with the new releases. I say I'm up to date. I've caught up. I'm not actually up to date because I know one hit my account today. But I have read the Legacy of Vader, number 1. I have number 2. Haven't read it yet. But it's an interesting story. Kylo Ren. I'm not that interested in Kylo Ren. But it's an interesting story. And I'm going to give it a chance. Fear of the Jedi, which is the next ongoing for the High Republic. Phase 3. And it was good. I love the High Republic. I've been on record many times saying how much I love the High Republic, and it is just continuing to be absolutely fantastic. And I also read a new Legacy, number 1. Now, I'll be honest with you, I struggled with this one. Really, really struggled with it. I stopped reading. It's a standard size comic, which will normally take me 10, maybe 15 minutes to read, and I put it down twice. So it's not a great start. It has Afra in it. It has a bunch of other sort of secondary characters. So I'm hoping issue 2 is better, and we'll see. But first glance, it's not really for me. I didn't find it that interesting. Maybe it was just a bad opening issue, and it'll pick up. But I couldn't really tell you anything about it. It hasn't stuck with me in any way, shape, or form. But in terms of what else is on my Kindle reading list, we have the Jedi Knights series, issue number 1. I haven't read this yet, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I do enjoy the Jedi Knights in general, and especially the end of the Galactic Republic era Jedi Knights, and this looks like it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but it's going to be interesting. As I mentioned previously, I have issue 2 of the Legacy of Vader comic, which I have been led to believe is very, very good. So I'll read that soon. And I also have issue 2 of Fear of the Jedi. So I don't have huge amounts in terms of my to read list, but I do obviously have the backlog of stuff that I picked up last May, which is quite a lot. The Dr. Aphra run, whole lot first run, most of the second run, and I think I also have the Darth Vader final trade paperback to read as well. So a bit of reading is needed, but I am actually going on holiday in April, so hopefully I'll be able to get some reading done whilst I'm there of an evening, hopefully with some nice weather, fingers crossed for me. Book-wise, I have read the High Republic Haunted Starlight Audible Original. It's a quick read on Audible. It's only about 4.5 hours. Really, really good story. Lots of fun. It involves the Drengir. I'm not going to spoil it too much. It's really, really good. And I also, at the time of recording, about an hour before I hit record on this, I finished Aftermath Book 2. I've been on record that the Aftermath book series is not really for me. It hasn't gripped me. The end of this book was brilliant. Really, really good. If you're listening to it on Audible, it's about the last 3.5 hours of it. Really, really good. Something clicks and it just hits a stride and it just doesn't really let up. And do I think a trilogy of books should take a book and a half or a book and 2/3 to hit a point where it really hits its stride? No, I don't. But if you like Star Wars, then it's very Star Warsy. It's got a lot of Han Solo in it. It's got some Chewbacca. It's got plenty of Princess Leia, who is pregnant with Ben, and it's got a lot of Empire remnant machinations in it as well, with a lot of different characters which are somewhat familiar, even just through stuff that's been set post and what's come through in things like The Mandalorian Season 3 with the Shadow Council and things like that. We don't get any of the big names like Gideon or anything like that, Pelion, Thrawn, none of that. Obviously, Thrawn's way out of the picture at this point in time. The back end of this book, though, was really, really good. So I don't know when I'm going to pick up book 3. I have a few things to listen to before I get to that, I think. But I enjoyed the end of the book. That's the main thing. I didn't read it. I read it back in December. But the podcast for the Spark Jedi Council review of Deceived is now live. So Source Pages, a reading collective podcast, normally hosted by Hayley and Brian, who have both guested on the show. Love you guys. And they're joined by myself and Todd, who form up the Spark Jedi Council. And we are currently reviewing a whole host of books to do mainly with the Sith, and we have done the Revan novel and the Darth Bane trilogy, and we've just done Deceived, and the next book we're going to be doing is Fatal Alliance. So expect to see that on the listen to list in the next month or so. That's probably going to be my next listen. But speaking of Brian, Hayley, and Todd, they've given me their updates, and I really want to hear from what you guys have been up to in Star Wars. What are you doing in preparation for either Celebration or Andor, and what are you hoping to see out of those two events? Are you booked to see Revenge of the Sith return to cinemas? Are you looking forward to Visions Season 3? Are you looking forward to any of the Acolyte books or the culmination of the High Republic later this year? What are you enjoying? What have you maybe not enjoyed in Star Wars recently? I want to hear from you. Hit me up on X at starwarsyoupod or Instagram, Star Wars Universe. The links and handles will be in the description part of this podcast, and will be all over my YouTube channel. Go over to the YouTube channel as well, Star Wars Universe. Hit subscribe over there. Tick the little bell icon, and it will let you know when I upload as well. But looking at what Hayley has been up to in this last month, she has read Deceived and The Mask of Fear, which I do want to read. I really want to read The Mask of Fear. I do think, well, I've heard it's very slow. So maybe right now isn't the right time for me for that. I need something a bit more fast-paced to keep my attention at the moment. But I do really want to listen to it. Audiobooks wise, she's listened to Dooku Jedi Lost. Fantastic. It's an audio drama, and I believe the book is a script. Much like Tempest Runner and other ones they've done within the High Republic, as well as other ones they've done outside of the High Republic. They've done a few of them now. And she's also listened to Haunted Starlight as well. So it's been a bit of a quiet month for Hayley, but it's all good. It's all good there. She's actually not too far away from completing her canon reading list, which is hugely impressive. And I think she's got about 11 books, because I think one of them is a trilogy. So, and 2 of those aren't even out yet. So she's doing fantastically well on the canon side of things. Following that conversation with Hayley, I actually looked up how many I've got to go. It's like 40. I've got like 40 canon books to read at some point. She's doing very, very well. So Hayley, keep us updated on your progress with that. Brian has finished Mask of Fear, finished a rewatch of Kenobi and Visions, both seasons. Got some cool posters, pops and Hasbro figures. Finished The Force Unleashed on Switch, catching up on the Marvel comics chronologically as well. And then he also sent me a follow-up saying he's just finished Beware the Nameless. So a reading heavy month for Brian, along with, naturally, his collectibles. What's your favourite collectible you have, Brian? Let me know. I'm interested. Todd has finished the main story mode on Star Wars Outlaws, a game I would like to play at some point. It's just not even on my radar. Speaking of video games, very quickly, I have agreed to have Dan Griffin back on the podcast once I complete Survivor. So, Dan, I'll probably see you in 2027 for that one. Apologies for the delays. He started reading Fatal Alliance, and he started reading Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear. He started Season 1 of Andor Rewatch, and he's watched The Last Jedi recently as well. So, a good film. Last Jedi's a weird film, because it doesn't fit as the middle part of that trilogy. It just doesn't. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. We all know the reasons why. But as a standalone Star Wars film, it's very good. It's very, very good. And it's introduced some new things, such as the jump to lightspeed attack on the Finalizer. Is it the Finalizer? Can't remember. The big ship. Which is later dubbed the Holdo maneuver after Admiral Holdo. You have the Praetorian Guard, Rey and Kylo fight. You have the confrontation with Snoke. Just that whole throne room setting is just phenomenal. You've got the training by Luke. I know he's a bit grumpy in it, but it was a take, and it's the one we have. There's nothing anyone can do about it. We just need to get on board with it. So, a really, really good film on its own. As the middle part of a trilogy, it's not great. But I'm really glad that there are people out there that love it. And I also understand why people don't like it. Our last bit of feedback here comes from Dan Griffin, at DanGriffin21 on X. And he has started Season 3 of The Clone Wars. He's not quite hooked in like Season 2, but he's going to stick with it, as it's still good. Season 3, Dan, episodes either 14 or 15, and then there's 2 after that. The Mortis Gods arc blew my mind. It's what I love in Star Wars, is the deep lore. And I was scrolling through, following on from the Mortis Gods, I was scrolling through my Audible to see what was on my watch list and or wish list and what wasn't. And I actually went in and added the entire Fate of the Jedi series, which is no longer canon, but involves Abeloth. So I do think it's probably going to be quite important and quite a good primer. Shout out to the guys over at Source Pages. For the Heir to the Empire movie when it comes out. So I do think that is going to play quite a big part, because I do think Abeloth is going to come into it in potentially Ahsoka season, Ahsoka season 2. And I do think that's what Balin's after, either access to the Mortis Gods or Abeloth herself. So we will see. And then he followed up with, I'm up to Darth Vader 2015 run, issue number 15, and I'm hooked back in. Carbin trying to trap Vader and busting out lightsabers, 000 nicking 3PO's arms, and Chrysanthemum fighting Chewie. Love it. I've said it before, Dan, and I'll say it again. It's just a phenomenal series. The Darth Vader, it doesn't matter what iteration, what year, what setting, the Darth Vader series has hit over and over and over again, to the point where we mentioned it on the episode that Dan joined me on and had a conversation with me on a couple of months ago. There's a panel where they're surrounded, Darth Vader. Vader, you're surrounded, prepare to be killed or whatever. And the panel is just Vader igniting his lightsaber. The only thing I'm surrounded by is fear and dead men. Dan, you sent me that still and just said, is this the one you were telling me about? And I was like, yep, that is the coolest Darth Vader moment for me of all time. It's just phenomenal. But that's it for this month. It's been a slightly longer one than it was last month, but I had a really, really good conversation with Josh, and looking ahead to Celebration Andor Season 2. And Josh, I completely forgot to ask you, what have you been up to recently in Star Wars? We kind of talked around it as well, so I have an idea, but let us know for next month, and let us know your thoughts out there on what is released, what's coming out of Celebration and what your thoughts are of Andor Season 2. The next episode is going to have a conversation with Hayley, and that is going to be taking place the day after Andor Season 2 first 3 episodes drops. So it's going to be a heavy Andor Season 2 chat with Hayley, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. So join us then next time. But until then, may the Force be with you, always.